folks, welcome back. I am looking at the week of April 6th through the 12th. We've got a little bit of interesting astrology this week. Remember, first of all, that both Venus and Mercury are still retrograde in Pisces at this particular time. So there's still quite a bit of dreaminess about what it is we'd like to do in the future, when it comes to possibly following our dreams, chasing our dreams, for instance. And maybe that has something to do with something that ignites our creative side. Maybe it has something to do with our humanitarian side. Maybe it has to do with our romantic side. It's going to manifest in a variety of ways because of Venus being associated with Libra and of seeking balance and harmony in everything. So that's one thing that's going on, but also be aware that there may still be some miscommunications, some issues with your technology, for instance. I've noticed issues with computers with some of the people around me. I've also noticed issues with devices not behaving for whatever reason. Just give space to modes of transport. If they're running late, for instance, a train or a bus running late, give it grace, okay? But also, if there are miscommunication issues between yourself and other people in your life, again, continue to give grace to that and understand that it won't always be like this. Mercury is not exactly the most comfortable in the sign of Pisces, okay? It likes to be able to move quickly, move fast, because Mercury is of the air. It's associated with Gemini and with Virgo, so going quickly at the speed that it wants to do, and watery energy is not going to let it do that. So just be aware of those particular energies this week. Your relationships and your communication stuff might be under some degree of pressure this week. Also, we have a full moon in Libra coming up on April 12th, which is going to be opposing the Sun in Aries. Now, this is interesting because it was just last week, or the week before that, I'm not sure. I'll put it in post-production. We experienced a solar eclipse new moon in Aries. So that gave the energy of starting anew, taking the experience from the past and bringing it into the present in order to manifest, to culminate the future that you want to see for yourself. That gave you a lot of sprouting energy, gave you the feeling that you could possibly, should, or at least that you really want to do something new, okay? But now we have this full moon in Libra, which is opposing the Sun in Aries. So this is about realities, kind of balancing out those kinds of launch pad energies that we might have gotten from the new moon solar eclipse in Aries. Okay, so just be aware of that. There may be some realities hitting your romantic partnerships or hitting the relationships around you this week. And again, give space to that. If you need to take a walk amongst nature, if you need to head out to a park, for instance, I hope that you're able to do so. But if you're not able to do that for whatever reason, I hope that you're able to tap into some soundscapes. There are plenty of really good ones here on YouTube that can be great for meditating. Okay, so just keep that in mind. We have a lot of powerful energies this month. March kind of set things into some heavy motion when it comes to fiery energy. And April, we're going to continue to feel the effects of that. So just slow down, pay attention to your surroundings. A meditative practice for yourself is going to be really handy at this time, and it's going to keep you grounded, and it's going to give you a space where you can relax amidst all the craziness that we've got coming up this particular month, okay? So let me get out my cards, and I'll be right back. So I am working with the Osho Zen Tarot today. And afterward, I'll be working with the Uncertain Oracle, and I'll show you what that is in just a second. The Osho Zen Tarot is excellent excellent when it comes to encouraging a meditative practice, okay? But also it's good about checking realities and helping us understand when our mind is feeding our fears and when our mind just dropped a card. What fell out was friendliness. This is the Two of Water. It's two trees in close contact with each other. They're of different colors, but they look great together. They form a new color together. Looks like pink and yellow forming orange or something like that. So the theme is friendliness, and that fell out. First card, I'll be doing a 3x3 spread. What happens here is I shuffle until Spirit asks me to stop. Excuse me, please forgive the Mercury retrograde effects. We have possibilities. That was on the bottom of the deck, but on the top, we have, it says aloneness. I thought it said darkness. And there is something to be said about darkness with this particular image. This is the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith Hermit card, and this is about navigating the path ahead, which may be completely consumed in darkness. That's about bringing your light into it, and this is going to be really hard for some of you watching this because your inner light has never been truly tested. But whatever is happening this particular week, you need to be aware that even when you're going through a dark place and your inner light is the only thing that's keeping you from doing something really drastic and perhaps violent, that friendliness is what is going to keep you grounded. So Two of Water is also known as Two of Cups. That is also about finding friendship, a close friendship with somebody, if not a romantic partnership with somebody. There is not complete aloneness in navigating the path ahead. Everybody is using their own inner light in navigating the paths that we've got up ahead. Remember that Pluto in Aquarius is much more about the collective finding its own way, and much less about the authoritarian structures associated with Pluto in Capricorn, which are falling apart, by the way. And they will continue to fall apart until January 2026, and then things take a drastic turn fully into Pluto in Aquarius, where it becomes much more about the collective. So this is about you finding your way through what we have, through the fall of Pluto in Capricorn and the beginning of a new era. We have Beyond Illusion. This is 20, so this would be the Judgment card in the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith. This is someone who has surpassed, in a sense, the material and has launched themselves into the death of the ego and the rebirth of a new understanding of themselves, a new understanding of their higher selves. The path up ahead for us is not going to be easy. The path up ahead for the collective is not going to be easy. But friendliness to the people who are struggling with that aloneness card is going to be part of what opens you up to the end of your ego. Finally letting it go and saying enough is enough. I'm ready to transcend the material and fully launch myself into the spiritual. And that's what Pluto in Aquarius is encouraging you to do. Many Pluto in Aquarius transits have overseen the end of one era for a faith and the beginning of another. Not sure exactly which Pluto in Aquarius it was, but I believe in the 1500s, Protestantism started to become stronger than Catholicism. And that was a major upset. It changed the course of human history. And so that's what you're going to be seeing in this particular area. You're going to start to see more life-changing, history-altering events that are going to be something to watch out for, to pay attention to. We have the Ten of Rainbows here. This would be the Ten of Pentacles normally. We are the world. Underneath the friendliness card, it's going to be opening yourself up to others. What's going to encourage you to see yourself in a great human connection with others. We need to lose the boundaries that the ego creates, and we need to see each other in new lights. For some people, that may be awakening from a bot status, and that's realizing that they have an inner light to guide them to the places that they need to go. But that's also about aloneness, quite literally, for some people, and people having to be separated from others, from friends, from family, for instance, through whatever's coming up. We do have a number of crises I'm concerned about coming up, and that might be force people to rely on themselves in order to get through the crises that we have. Ultimately, recognizing that everybody is going to have their own struggle through what we have coming up in the future is going to be key to you realizing how deeply connected we all are, even in the midst of great, tremendous pain. We have harmony. Finding spiritual time for yourself is going to lead to inner harmony. Specifically, these dolphins are jumping out of this teenagers, young adults' heart. Basically, they have transcended their material selves, and they have realized that their emotional needs are met within themselves. And when a person comes to others in the fullness of themselves, that's when they attract the best people possible. That's when other people get to see a role model that is worth following and worth fighting for, worth protecting. There may be quite a few empaths watching this particular channel, and you may have not fully realized your powers, your abilities just yet. This is the season where you will undergo circumstances that awaken those abilities within you. They are not going to be painless. They may call for you to be in a hermit-like status, quite literally for some degree of time, and that may be one of the hardest challenges you've ever gone through in your life. For some of you, you may have never been fully alone. You may have always been connected to other people. Allow this particular time to take you through the hard circumstances so that you can start to see your inner light. You need to speak with spirit on an individual level. Watching these videos is one thing, but you starting to develop a personal relationship with spirit is what is going to be key to you recognizing your inner light and letting it lead you to true inner peace in spite of what may be going on around you. And then you can guide others to doing the same thing. We have the Four of Fire. This is participation. Four of Wands. It looks like we have the potential for a collective, small group awakening. And you might be swept up in that. And that might start to connect you to some people that you really, really like to be around. And they may encourage you to find your inner light and to find your inner peace. There may be a particular group coming to you in the future who really push you along your spiritual path in ways that you weren't expecting. This is where coming into collectives, coming into groups during these difficult times is really going to be helpful to you, not just as a way to survive, but as a way to thrive spiritually. There's stuff that people around you have to teach you about yourself, about themselves, about humanity, that's going to cause you to grow if you allow the lessons to come through. We have the Two of Rainbows here, the Two of Pentacles, living moment to moment, taking a playful attitude towards whatever it is going on towards life. And by doing this, you almost dropped a card. You encourage the collective to join in with you. Once again, doing a 3x3 spread. This is the first column. Opening yourself up to friendly interactions with others, getting into a spiritual community that you vibe with the very most is what's going to be helpful. And if there is not a spiritual community that you vibe with, this could be the time where you, if you consider yourself a leader, this could be the time that you start one in your particular area. Okay, just be cautious of people about more conservative, closed-minded people when it comes to your particular beliefs if you are a pagan like myself. Okay, that's all I'm going to say. Let's just say that the page of clouds, the mind, is often what keeps us distracted and from living our moment-to-moment best version of ourselves. Okay. Regardless of what's going on, our fears may run wild this particular week, and this is the absolute best time to start down the path towards inner peace, towards understanding yourself completely and totally better than anyone else on this planet could ever do. You and your spirit guides, your ancestors, your deities know how to work with each other best. But at the same time, you get along well with other people. You go with the flow with the right people when you meet them, okay? You may not be around them right now, and I hope that you do get to find them. But this is absolutely about our fears possibly taking control this particular week, and it may prevent us from living moment to moment. As best as you can, stay on this particular path and let your mind know that things are occurring just exactly as they should, and that there are some things that you should not interfere with, and there are some things in some cases where if you can render justice, then you should, even if that is you getting out of your comfort zone. One more. We have the Thunderbolts. This is the Tower in the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith. It's coming into the last column underneath the Four of Wands, or the Four of Fire, and the Awakening. There's something about it's about leaning into the collective whenever this Tower moment really starts to occur. And now, we were told back in March that we were going to have a series of Tower moments, and we did. But this is indicating that quite possibly we could have some more Tower moments over this particular week and over the month of April, to be quite honest. And that leaning into the collective, participating in a spiritual awakening with the collective and within yourself. Don't neglect your interior, okay? Just because the collective is feeling a particular way, just because the collective is getting hit with waves of spirituality, new waves of increasing our consciousness, for instance, that doesn't mean that you should rely on them. Ultimately, this is how you build inner peace, is by you identifying with the collective in some ways, but at the same time choosing your own spiritual path, because ultimately at the end of the day, you are responsible for how you behave over your lifetime. Every time you incarnate, you are responsible for relieving your karmic debt and going further into the divine. Ultimately, the goal is to not be incarnated anymore, because we've learned of all our karmic lessons. We don't need to come back onto this earth. We can go into what's next, whatever that may be. I'm sure it would be beautiful, whatever it is. Okay. Don't mean to hop around all over the place here, but we do have some pretty crazy energy coming up, I can see, in this particular week. You are encouraged heavily, if you weren't already doing this, you are encouraged heavily to work hard on your spiritual path, because this is where things could become significantly harder, especially if you're living in the United States. Collectively speaking, there may be some earth-shattering, history-making moments that happen this week and next, okay? Just be aware of that possibility. I'm not saying with certainty that it will, but I'm saying that there is the significant likelihood that it could happen considering what all happened in March. There will be consequences, okay? That full moon in Libra would also encourage some particular things to come to fullness when it comes to diplomatic measures, okay? Libra is all about diplomacy. Sorry, my cards fell and I'm distracted. It's all about diplomacy and about leadership when it comes to embassies, and about possibly ambassadors having a difficult time when it comes to like places like Canada, for instance, who just broke off a bunch of close ties with the United States. There may be a lot of difficulties getting products on grocery store shelves over the next couple of weeks that may start to cause people to panic once they realize what's been lost and how much pain 47 said that he was going to put us through, what exactly that's going to feel like, okay? Just be aware that we've got a lot of stuff coming down the pipeline. April has the potential to have a lot of pain and misery and suffering for a lot of different groups, okay? Especially minority folks, people who are dependent on food stamps, who are dependent on food banks, for instance. Those people are going to start to struggle this week and next because things are starting to run dry, deliberately so. I've said in this reading and in others that this particular administration is encouraging collective strife so that they can declare martial law within the United States. That's what I believe could occur. There are any number of powder keg possibilities at this particular time, and that makes sense. We are in heavy Aries energy. Not trying to fearmonger here, but you do deserve to know about what's going on and what possibilities are out there. Consider that astrology and tarot are weather. I'm predicting the weather in a sense. I understand that there's a lot of science that goes into meteorology. What I'm saying is the weather changes and people have free will and things change depending on what happens. Sometimes something far worse is averted. Sometimes something worse happens. It depends, okay? It depends on free will. Sometimes somebody may make a good choice, others may make awful choices. And everything in between, okay? Let me move on to the Uncertain Oracle, and I'll be right back. Okay. I am working with the Uncertain Oracle, and I just want to close out this reading with some more words of wisdom. Something flipped over, I think. Did it? I thought something flipped over. Excuse me. Once again, I shuffle until Spirit asks me to stop. Sacred anger. Something happens this particular week that justice records. I'm thinking of like the tarot card justice, but also divine justice that says the scales must be balanced. It's interesting that we were talking about a full moon in Libra and about scales being balanced. Venus and Libra are absolutely interested in things being balanced and fair and comfortable, and is absolutely not one to fuck with when it comes to sacred anger. Venus is associated with the Empress card, and she's a warrior in her own right. She and the Emperor deserve one another. They are both warriors. She's not just someone who sits on her laurels. She earned that particular seat. And so when we're talking about justice and of things needing to be balanced, allow the sacred anger of the universe to flow through you when you see certain injustices that you know should have been righted, that someone stood back and you might have not had the power to have influenced anything, but you know someone could have. Allow your sacred anger to flow through you. That was from the bottom of the deck. We have integration here. Integrate with others. We had talked about coming into a collective with the Osho Zen Tarot. This is about you finding your people, even if it's online. That might be through a Discord channel or something like that. You need to get together with people now. We've been talking about this. Spirit has been talking to us about coming together with people for some months, but you need to start doing it now in earnest. Like, this is a real warning. This is the time to start getting together with the people that you need to be with, so that when things get really tough later on, especially if you're in the USA, if you're part of the USA collective, you need to start hunting for your people now. They will find you. You will find them exactly at the right time that Spirit commands that it should happen. Okay? We have treasure next. Once you find those people, treasure them. And also keep in mind that they've got a lot of really cool things to show you, to share with you. You're going to feel like these people vibe with you. It's going to feel good to be around these people. So that's all from the Uncertain Oracle, is what Spirit is saying. And I want to emphasize once again, it's not going to be enough to be alone anymore. From this point on, you need to make it a priority to find the people that you vibe with, because we're about to go through some difficult times. And it's going to be easier to survive and even thrive in numbers. And you never know where your next chosen family might be. Once you find these particular people, you might discover that these are your chosen family. You might discover a romantic partner or romantic partners if you're polyamorous. You might find some of the best people to be friends with that you've ever encountered. But you need to start making those movements now. Find the people who are angry about the same things that you are angry about. When you find people who are passionate about the same things that you are passionate about, that's when it's going to be easy to, dropped it. That's when it's going to be easy to find things that you can value for the rest of your life. Things that cannot be touched by loss, because you carry them in your heart, you carry them in your soul, you carry them in your mind forever. Amazing things that you know that you'll treasure for the rest of your life, no matter what happens. You need to find these people, okay? So no more from me. I hope that you have a good week. Please be careful. Please be careful, especially if you're going to any of the protests that could be happening this particular week in your area. Just have some situational awareness. Don't do anything stupid, please. I doubt that I'm speaking to anyone who would do anything stupid, but if someone starts to antagonize you, don't rise to it. Step away. Give that kind of space. Remember that Venus and Mercury are in retrograde, and this is absolutely the time for fights to erupt. And that's kind of the concern that I've got this particular week, is that Venus and Mercury, both being in retrograde in Pisces, can encourage people to see a situation not for what it is, not for what it actually is, okay? Just be aware of this. There's a lot going on this week. There's a lot going on next week, too. Please take care of yourselves.